The sun of Meridia was dying. It hung in the sky like a tired orange eye, casting red shadows across the stone buildings of the colony. Kai sat in the corner of the underground cavern where his people lived, watching the other dragon youths play a game of combat. They threw themselves at each other with teeth bared and claws extended, laughing when blood dripped to the floor. This was how dragon boys learned to be strong. This was how they learned to be real dragons. Kai was different, and everyone knew it. His scales were the same deep purple as any other Meridian, but they seemed to shine with a softer light. His body was smaller too, narrower across the shoulders, weaker in the grip. But those things were not what made him wrong. What made him wrong was the way he looked at the world. The colony sat high on a mountain, above the toxic wastelands that covered most of Meridia's surface. Down there, nothing grew. Nothing lived except the creatures that had already been poisoned by the acid and dust. The Council of Elders called them the Worthless. They said that anything born in the wastelands was broken and did not deserve to exist. To practice killing them was a duty. To show them mercy was a crime. 3 days ago, Kai had broken this law. He had been exploring the boundary of the colony when he found it. The creature was small, with gray skin and too many legs. It had fallen into a ravine and could not climb out. Its voice made a sound like breaking glass as it called for help. Kai recognized the sound. It was pain. It was fear. It was the same as what any living thing felt when it was hurt. He should have left it there. He should have reported it to the guards so they could go down and kill it properly, the way a dragon was supposed to do. This was what he was trained to do since he was young. This was what strength meant. Instead, Kai climbed down into the ravine. It took him 3 hours to get the creature to safe ground. His hands were cut by the rocks. His muscles burned from the effort. The creature did not thank him. It could not speak his language. But when he placed it on flat ground, it looked at him with eyes that held something Kai had no name for. Not hate, not fear. Something else. Something that made his chest feel strange. Kai left the creature and did not tell anyone what he had done, but someone had seen him. Lirith was there. Lirith was a year older and twice as strong, with scars across his face from many combat wins. He had been hunting in the rocks when he spotted Kai helping the worthless creature. Lirith did not help it. Lirith did what was right. He reported Kai to the guards. The guards came to get him that night while he slept. They were big and silent, with armor that made no sound. They did not hurt him. They did not need to. Kai knew what he had done was wrong. He came with them without fighting. The Council of Elders sat in a circle in the Great Hall. There were 7 of them, old dragons with scales of deeper purple and gold markings that showed their rank. Commander Vex sat in the center. He had led the colony for 20 seasons and had never shown weakness or mercy. His eyes were like stones. "You helped the worthless," Vex said. It was not a question. "Yes," Kai answered. He did not lie. Dragons did not lie. You wasted time and effort on something that does not matter. It was alive, Kai said. It needed help. The other elders made sounds of disgust. One of them stood up, his claws scratching the stone floor. "This one is not a real dragon. He thinks like the weak creatures that live in other places. He is broken." Vex raised his hand. The hall went silent. "You are right," he said to Kai. "You are wrong. Your thinking is wrong. Your heart is wrong. Your very nature is wrong. You cannot stay here." Kai felt his chest become tight, but he did not cry. Dragons did not cry. "You will go to the wastelands," Vex continued. "You will be given water for 5 days and tools for survival. The wastelands will teach you what it means to be strong. If you survive, you may return. If you do not, then you were always worthless, just like the creature you saved." The other elders made sounds of approval. This was fair. This was justice. The next morning, Kai stood at the edge of the colony. Hundreds of dragons came to watch him leave. They did not shout insults. They simply watched with empty eyes, as if Kai was already dead. His mother did not come. She was the mate of a strong dragon who had many sons, and she could not protect the child who was wrong. One of the guards gave him a bag of water and a knife. Another guard gave him a small bag of dried meat and a heavy coat. These things would not keep him alive in the wastelands. Everyone knew this. But the law said that prisoners must be given a chance. Kai walked down the mountain path without looking back. Behind him, the high walls of the colony grew smaller and smaller until they disappeared in the red haze of the dying sun. The wastelands stretched before him like the body of a dead giant. The ground was cracked and yellow. Smoke rose from holes in the earth where the poison lived. The sky was not blue. It was gray and thick, and it hurt to breathe. Kai walked for hours. His water grew warm in the bag. His feet became sore. The sun moved across the sky and then sank below the poisoned earth, and the temperature dropped so fast that his breath came out in white clouds. He found a cave to sleep in, far from any source of poison gas. He drank a small amount of water and ate a small piece of dried meat. He lay on the hard ground and tried to feel nothing. In the darkness, he heard sounds. The sounds of creatures calling to each other in languages he did not understand. These were the worthless. These were the creatures his people had been trained to fear and kill. But in the darkness, they sounded just like anything else that was alive and alone and scared in the night. Kai closed his eyes and thought about the gray creature he had saved. He wondered if it had found safety. He wondered if it had found others like itself. He wondered if, somewhere in the wastelands, there was at least one small creature that would live because he had helped it, instead of letting it die. The first day in the wastelands, Kai had water and food and the belief that he might survive. The second day, he still had hope, but the wastelands were poison. They were slow death. And Kai was beginning to understand that the council had been right about one thing. He was wrong. He was too weak for a place like this. He did not know that he was being watched. High above, hidden in a rock formation that overlooked the wastelands, a human woman with dark eyes sat behind thick glass. Her name was Dr. Helena Price. She had been studying the dragons of Meridia for 3 years, learning their language, recording their culture. She was not supposed to interfere. That was the first rule of the observation post. Never interfere with the natural development of a culture. But Helena had studied many things in her long career. She knew the history of humans. She knew what happened when a culture decided that being different meant being worthless. She knew how many good people died before anyone decided to stop it. She watched Kai walk into the wastelands and sit alone in the cave. She made a decision that would change everything. It was against every rule of her position. It would likely end her career. But Helena had not lived this long by always following the rules. She would save the wrong dragon boy. And saving him, she might save more than just one life. She might save an entire world from the poison of its own hate. 3 days in the wastelands was like 3 years. Kai's water was almost gone. His food had run out on the morning of the second day, and since then he had been hunting. The creatures of the wastelands were fast and hard to catch, but they existed, and that was enough. He had caught 2 small things with his knife and eaten them raw. They tasted like ash and poison. The poison was everywhere. In the air, in the ground, in the water he drank even though it made his stomach hurt. His skin was starting to blister where it had been exposed to the acidic dust. His eyes watered constantly from the thick smoke that rose from the cracks in the earth. He had stopped thinking about going back. That was not a real option. The council had sent him to die. The only question now was how many days before his body understood that and stopped fighting. Kai sat in the shadow of a broken wall, all that remained of some ancient structure. The sun was high and red. The heat made everything shimmer. He was trying to decide if he had enough energy to search for more water, or if he should lie down and sleep and hope he woke up. That was when he heard the sound. It was not a sound the wastelands made. It was not the crack of breaking stone or the hiss of poison gas or the strange calls of the worthless creatures. It was a sound of something falling, something heavy, something breaking. Kai stood up. His muscles were stiff and weak. He had not eaten in almost a day, but he was still a dragon. His instincts said to hide. His instincts said to stay away from anything that could be a threat. He walked toward the sound instead. It came from the edge of a deep pit, maybe 100 steps away. When Kai reached it and looked down, he saw something he had never seen before. It was a creature, but not like anything in the colony. It had a body like a snake, but with too many limbs. Its skin was covered in patterns of blue and green that seemed to glow even in the harsh daylight. It was trapped under a piece of metal structure. One of its limbs bent at a wrong angle. The creature saw Kai and made a sound. Not words, not the sounds of pain that Kai expected. The sound was like music, like something singing. It was beautiful and strange and wrong in this poisoned place. Kai should have left it there. He should have kept walking. The creature was probably poisonous. It was probably dangerous. It was definitely worthless, the way all things in the wastelands were worthless. But Kai had learned something important in 3 days in this place. Being alive was hard for everything. Nothing wanted to die. He climbed down into the pit. The metal structure was heavier than he thought. Kai's hands were cut and bleeding when he finally pushed it away from the creature's body. The creature made the musical sound again, and this time Kai understood it was not pain. It was gratitude. It was the sound of something that had expected to die and did not. The creature's limb was broken, but it could still move. It dragged itself away from the metal structure and toward a patch of rock that was not poisoned. Kai followed. He did not know why. He should have climbed back up to the surface and left it alone. Instead, he spent the next several hours helping the creature clean its wounds. He found water in his bag and gave it to the creature. It drank carefully, its eyes never leaving Kai's face. The creature was studying him, learning him, understanding him. When the sun started to go down, Kai realized he had used almost all of his remaining water. He sat back against the rock and tried not to think about what that meant. The creature made its musical sound and moved closer to him. It did not touch him, but it sat very close. In the darkness of the wastelands, Kai was not completely alone. That night, everything changed. High above, in the observation post hidden in the rocks, Dr. Helena Price watched the screen in front of her. She had been monitoring Kai since he entered the wastelands. The cameras were small and hard to see, hidden in the rocks and dust. She had watched him walk into the desert alone. She had watched him try to survive. She had watched him do something no Meridian Dragon was supposed to do. He had saved the Wanderer. The Wanderer was not a species the Council of Elders knew about. It had come from beyond the stars, stranded on Meridia when its ship broke apart in the upper atmosphere. The Wanderer had hidden in the wastelands for 3 months, barely surviving. Helena had been planning a rescue operation for weeks. But Kai had done what no one expected. He had seen a suffering creature and helped it. Instead of killing it, Helena stood up and walked to the window. Outside, the red sun was setting over the poisoned earth. She could see the small figures of Kai and the Wanderer. Sitting together in the darkness, she made a decision. "Kevin," She called Kevin Cross was the only other human at the observation post who knew about the refuge. He was the engineer who kept the hidden systems running. He lived in the lower levels of the post, away from the main observation teams. He came running when Helena called. "I need your help," she said. Kevin was young, maybe 25, with pale skin and dark hair. He had come to Meridia because he wanted to study alien technology. He had stayed because he believed in what Helena was trying to do. "What do you need?" he asked. "I need to break every rule we have," Helena said. "I need to go down to the wastelands tonight and bring that dragon boy back alive." Kevin looked at the screens showing Kai and the Wanderer. He did not hesitate. "When do we go?" 2 hours later, they were ready. They had suits that would protect them from the poison. They had medical supplies and food and water. They had a plan to get in and out without being detected by the Meridian sensors. The hardest part was getting through the barrier. The observation post was protected by fields of energy that made it invisible to the colony above. But those same fields blocked direct passage in or out. They had to use a tunnel that Kevin had built in secret, a passage that bypassed the energy fields and connected to the wastelands below. Helena had never been so afraid in her life. If they were caught, they would be arrested. If they were arrested, they would be sent back to human space and banned from ever returning. Everything she had worked for would be lost. But when she thought about Kai, alone and dying in the wastelands, she did not care about any of that. The tunnel was dark and cold. It took 30 minutes to reach the wastelands. When they emerged, the toxic air hit them like a wall. Even through their suits, they could feel the heat and the poison. They moved quickly toward the location where Kai was sitting. The dragon boy heard them coming before he saw them. His hand went to his knife. His body became tense. The Wanderer made a sound of alarm and moved away. Then Helena stepped into view, and Kai saw her face. She was not a dragon. She was not anything he recognized. But her eyes were gentle, and her hands were open and empty. She was holding a bag of water and food. "Do not be afraid," she said. Her words were in the Meridian language, but her accent was strange. "We are here to help you." Kai's grip on the knife became tighter. "Why?" he asked. Helena knelt down so she was not looking down at him. "Because you saved a life when you were supposed to take one," she said. "Because you are not wrong. And because humans know something about being called worthless. We know it is not true." Kai did not understand. He did not know what a human was. He did not know that his life was about to change. He did not know that his rescue was the first step toward saving an entire world. But when Helena offered him her hand, he took it. Kevin helped him to his feet. The Wanderer made its musical sound and moved toward them. Together, they walked back through the darkness toward the tunnel that would take them away from the WASTELNDS for the first time in 3 days. Kai felt something other than pain and fear. He felt hope. Commander Vex sat in the military command center of the Meridian colony. Around him, younger dragons worked at screens that showed information from all across the planet. His deputy, a scarred female named Kresh, stood at his right hand. Kresh had killed 40 enemies in her life. She had the kind of eyes that made lesser beings look away. "Show me again," Vex commanded. The dragon at the closest screen moved his claws over the controls. An image appeared. It showed energy signatures from the area near the old observation tower on the western ridge. "The patterns match nothing in our records," the dragon said. His voice shook. He was young and feared Vex's anger. "Whatever is creating this power source is not native to Meridia." Vex stared at the image. He had ruled the colony for 20 seasons. He had kept Meridia pure. He had killed the weak and the wrong. He had kept his people strong, but there was something he did not control. There was something on his world that he did not understand. "Send a scout team," he said. "What should they look for?" Crash asked. "Anything that is not Meridian," Vex said. "Anything that thinks it can hide from us. Anything that threatens the purity of our kind." The scout team would reach the observation post in 6 days. In the refuge. Kevin was working at a computer terminal when the alarm went off. He looked at the screen and saw what the Meridian military was doing. They had launched a search team. They had sent notice through all military channels that an investigation was being opened. They were mobilizing resources. Kevin ran to find Helena. "They know," he said. "Not exactly what we are, but they know something is here. Vex has ordered a military investigation." Helena's face became very still. "How long?" she asked. 6 days before they reached the post," Kevin said. "Maybe less. Vex will not send just one team. He will send multiple teams, coming from different directions." "We need to evacuate," someone said. It was Sarah, who ran the medical supplies. "We can take the ships and go." "There are no ships fast enough," Kevin said. "Vex will have already sent orders to the orbital stations. They will intercept us before we can get out of atmosphere." Helena closed her eyes. She was thinking. She was calculating. She was trying to find a way to save everyone in the refuge. "There is another option," Kai said. Everyone looked at him. Kai had been learning human technology, but he still thought like a dragon. His perspective was different from theirs. "What?" Helena asked. "I go to the colony," Kai said. "Before Vex sends the teams. I go to the council. I tell them what you are. I tell them what I have learned. I show them that beings from other places are not a threat." "Kai, they will kill you," Kevin said. "Maybe," Kai said. "But if they do, they will do it quickly. And while they are listening to me, you will have time. Time to prepare. Time to move people if you need to. Time to decide what to do." "It is too dangerous," Sophie said. She was holding Kai's arm. She looked at Helena. "We cannot let him do this." "We cannot stop him," Helena said. She looked at Kai. "Is this what you want?" Kai looked at Sophie. He looked at the Wanderer. He looked at Helena and Kevin and Lucas and all the people he had learned to care about. "I want my people to learn," he said. "I want them to know that there is another way. If I do not go, Vex will attack. People will die. My people and yours. If I go, maybe someone will listen. And if they do not listen," Lucas asked. "Then at least I tried," Kai said. "And I will not have regrets." Helena spent 3 days preparing Kai. She gave him recordings and images. She gave him facts and data about humans and other species. She taught him words to use when words mattered. She taught him how to speak to power in a way that power might listen. Colonel Marcus Hayes was the human military commander who lived at the observation post undercover. He came to see Kai in the refuge. Marcus was a tall man with gray at the temples. He had fought in many wars on many worlds. He had seen what happened when one group decided that another group was wrong. "I will help you," Marcus said. "I cannot fight the Meridian military openly. That would violate too many treaties. But I can prepare my people. When Vex makes his choice, we will be ready." "Ready to do what?" Kai asked. "Ready to not let him destroy everything you care about," Marcus said. "There is a difference between interfering in a culture and defending lives that need defending. If Vex attacks the refuge, we will defend it." Kevin prepared a small device that Kai could carry in his clothes. It was called a communicator. It would let him stay in touch with Helena and Kevin while he was in the colony. Sophie gave him something else. She took his hand and pressed something into it. It was a small piece of metal on a cord. She called it a necklace. "This is so you remember," she said. "Remember that you are not alone. Remember that there are people who believe in you. Remember that what you are doing matters. Kai put the necklace on. He could feel it against his chest, just above his heart. The Wanderer made its musical sound. Sophie translated. "I will wait for you," the Wanderer said. "I will wait for your return, because you are the first of your kind to save me. You are the first to choose to understand instead of destroy. I believe you can make your people understand, too." On the fourth day, Kevin drove Kai to the edge of the observed zone in a small vehicle. This was the last safe place before the Meridian colony would detect him. "When you reach the colony, go straight to the council," Kevin said. "Tell them Kai has returned. Tell them he has something important to say." "What if they do not let me speak?" Kai asked. "Then you create enough of a disturbance that they have to listen," Kevin said. "You are a dragon. They expect you to fight. Maybe it will surprise them if you do something different." Kai got out of the vehicle. He could see the mountain where his home was. He could see the light of the colony in the distance. He could see the place where he had been cast out to die. He was going back. Not as a criminal. Not as the wrong one. But as something new. Something his people had never encountered before. Something that might change. Everything. Kai walked toward the colony as the sun was setting. His scales caught the red light and glowed like they were on fire. He was not hungry anymore. He was not afraid. He was full of purpose. Behind him, Kevin watched until Kai disappeared into the haze. Then Kevin drove back to the refuge. When he arrived, everyone was waiting for him. "How long?" Helena asked. 2 days before Kai reaches the colony," Kevin said. 3 days before the first military team arrives at the observation post. Then we have 5 days before everything changes," Helena said. She looked at all the beings in the refuge. The insects with 4 arms. The crystal being that was made of living light. The old bird creature. The humans. All of them were refugees from worlds where they had been called wrong. "We prepare to fight," Helena said. "Not to kill, but to defend. We show them that different does not mean wrong. We show them that life is worth living no matter what shape it takes." Then she did something Helena had never done before in a military meeting. She stood up and prayed to the universe that Kai would find a way to make his people listen, a way to stop the attack before it started, because if Kai failed, there would be death, and Helena had already seen too much death to accept it now. At the moment when everything could change. In the wastelands, the Wanderer made its harmonic sound. It was calling to Kai. It was saying, "Do not fail. Come back to us." And in the darkness of the mountain path, Kai heard it. He did not know how that was possible. The Wanderer was far away. The distance should have made such a sound impossible to hear. But Kai had learned that there were many things he did not understand about the universe. There were many kinds of strength, many kinds of connection, and maybe, just maybe, if he was very brave, he could teach his people to understand too. The medical bay was white and clean and nothing like anything Kai had ever seen. It was buried deep underground, far below the observation post. The walls glowed with soft light that came from nowhere Kai could see. There was a bed that adjusted itself to fit his body. There were machines that watched his heartbeat and made soft beeping sounds. Dr. Lucas Park was a man with skin the color of old wood and hands that moved with careful precision. He had been a healer on Earth, a place Kai was learning to know through stories. Lucas cleaned Kai's wounds and treated the poison burns on his skin. He gave him medicine that made the pain go away, but did not make him sleep. "You are not as hurt as I expected," Lucas said. "Dragons from Meridia have faster healing than most species. It is one of your gifts." "It is not a gift," Kai said. "It is just what we are. Everything about what you are is a gift," Lucas said. "You just did not know it yet." For 3 days, Kai stayed in the medical bay. He slept more than he had slept in his entire life. He ate food that tasted like something other than dust and poison. Slowly, his body began to feel like his body again. On the fourth day, Helena came to see him. She brought a woman named Sophie Martinez with her. Sophie was younger than Helena, maybe 30. She had dark hair and eyes that were warm and serious at the same time. She was a communication specialist, which meant she understood languages and meaning in ways that most people did not. "How are you feeling?" Helena asked. "I am confused," Kai said. This was true. "That makes sense," Sophie said. She sat down on the edge of his bed without asking permission. "You have been taught one thing your entire life, and now you are learning something completely different. That would confuse anyone. Why are you helping me?" Kai asked. "I am worthless. The council decided this. That is what the law says." Helena and Sophie exchanged a look. Then Helena began to tell him a story. She told him about Earth. She told him about humans who were born on a planet that was dangerous and hard and cold. She told him about how humans had to work together to survive, because no single human was strong enough alone. She told him that humans came in many different colors and shapes. They spoke different languages and believed different things. For a long time, humans believed that being different meant being less than. They believed that people with different colored skin were worthless. They believed that people who thought differently should not be allowed to live. "We killed them," Helena said. This was not easy to say, but she said it anyway. "We killed millions of people because we decided they were wrong. Then you were like the Meridians," Kai said. "We were worse," Helena said, "because we should have known better. We should have understood that strength comes from understanding each other, not from killing anyone who is different." She paused. Then she said, "It took a long time to learn. It took wars and pain and loss. But eventually, we understood. Being different is not being weak. Being different is being strong in a different way." Sophie moved closer. "That creature you saved," she said. "We call it the Wanderer. It is from another planet. Its kind communicate through harmonic frequencies, which means they use sound patterns we cannot hear. When you helped it, you helped something that was completely foreign to you. You did not know its language. You did not know its kind. But you helped it anyway. Why would I do that?" Kai asked. "Because you are stronger than the Meridian Council," Sophie said. "Because something in you knows that pain is pain. That fear is fear. That being alive means something, no matter what shape that life takes." Over the next 2 weeks, Kevin showed Kai around the refuge dot. It was much bigger than Kai had expected. The observation post was just a small part on the surface. The real refuge was underground, built into the very bones of Meridia itself. There were tunnels that stretched for miles. There were gardens where food grew under artificial light. There were sleeping quarters and workrooms and storage areas. And there were people. Not just humans. There were at least 30 other beings. There was a species that looked like walking insects, with 4 arms and no face. Just smooth skin where a face should be. There was a creature that was entirely made of crystal. Living energy that thought and moved and was alive in ways that should not be possible. There was an old bird-like being with feathers of gold and silver. Where did they come from? Kai asked Kevin. "Everywhere," Kevin said. "There are worlds all across the galaxy where beings like the Meridians live. Worlds where there is an idea of what is right and what is wrong. The Council says everyone who does not fit that idea is worthless." "They are wrong," Kai said. Kevin smiled. "Yes," he said. "They are wrong." Helena began to teach Kai human history using recordings and images. She showed him human art and music. She showed him pictures of human cities and human children. She showed him how humans had learned to forgive each other. She showed him something called dancing. "What is it?" Kai asked. watching humans move to music. It is joy, Helena said. It is the body expressing what the heart feels. It is humans being alive in a way that has no purpose except the joy itself. That night, Kai asked Sophie to teach him to dance. Sophie was surprised, but she agreed. She showed him basic steps. She let him hold her hand and her waist. He was awkward and clumsy, and his scales were hard and rough against her soft skin. But he was trying. He was learning. He was alive in a new way. Lucas began to explain Kai's biology to him. He showed him scans of his body and comparisons to other Meridian dragons. Your strength is average, Lucas said. Your speed is below average. Your ability to process poison is below average. By Meridian standards, you are physically weak. Kai had always known this, but hearing it still hurt. However, Lucas continued, your neural pathways for empathy are far above average. Your ability to focus attention on one thing is above average. Your problem-solving ability is above average. Your healing speed is above average. Your body's ability to survive on limited resources is exceptional. What does that mean? Kai asked. It means the council was wrong, Lucas said. It means you are not weak. You are adapted for a different kind of survival. A better kind. The Wanderer became Kai's constant companion. The Wanderer could not speak Kai's language, but it understood it. It used its harmonic frequencies to communicate with the humans, who had learned to translate. Through Sophie and Kevin, the Wanderer told Kai its story. It had been an explorer, sent to learn about new worlds. Its ship had been damaged coming into Meridia's atmosphere. It had crashed in the wastelands and survived alone for months. It had expected to die there. The Wanderer told Kai that it would have died if not for Kai. It told Kai that Kai's kindness had given it a reason to keep living. You saved me, Sophie said, translating the Wanderer's harmonics. And in saving me, you showed me that not all of Meridia is poison, that there is good here, that there is hope. Kai spent his days learning and his nights trying to understand everything that was being forced into his mind. He was wrong about everything he had been taught. Wrong about strength. Wrong about what made something worth saving. Wrong about his own value. But he was beginning to understand something new. Maybe being wrong about everything was the first step to being right about something that mattered. On the 21st day in the refuge, Helena called everyone to the central chamber. We have a problem, she said. Her voice was serious and heavy. The Meridian military has detected unusual energy signatures near the observation post. Commander Vex has ordered an investigation. He suspects there is something hidden here. How long do we have? Kevin asked. Not long, Helena said. Maybe 10 days. Maybe less. Kai felt something cold in his chest. He will attack, he said. Yes, Helena said. He will try to destroy us and everyone in this refuge. For the first time since leaving the wastelands, Kai was afraid. But this time, he was not afraid of dying alone. He was afraid of losing the people around him. He was afraid of losing Sophie's smile and Kevin's patience and Lucas's steady hands. He was afraid of losing the Wanderer. He was afraid of losing the chance to show his people that there was another way. I will not let him destroy this, Kai said. Sophie looked at him. What do you mean? I will go back, Kai said. I will go to the colony. I will talk to the council. I will make them understand. They will kill you, Helena said. Maybe, Kai said. But the colony will not attack the refuge if one of their own stands before them. Maybe they will listen. Maybe my people can still learn. Helena saw something in Kai's face that she had seen before in her life. She saw the thing that made humans dangerous and beautiful. She saw moral courage. She saw a being willing to risk everything for something greater than itself. She saw hope. All right, Helena said. We will prepare you. We will give you evidence and words and truth. And we will hope that your people are ready to hear it." Kai nodded. He looked at the Wanderer, and the Wanderer made its beautiful musical sound. It was not agreement. It was more than that. It was love. It was the sound of one living thing saying to another living thing, "I believe in you. I trust you. I will stand with you, even if you fail." Kai stood at the barrier between the wastelands and the colony. He was alone. The toxic air of the wastelands was behind him. The clean air of the mountain was ahead. He had walked for 2 days without stopping to sleep. His scales were covered in dust. His muscles ached. His mind was tired, but his heart was set on what had to be done. The guards at the boundary saw him coming and did not know what to do. A dragon was approaching from the wastelands. That should not be possible. Nothing that went to the wastelands came back alive. They raised their weapons. "I am Kai," he said, stopping 100 steps away. "I was exiled to the wastelands. I have returned to speak to the Council of Elders. Take me to them." The guards were confused. Kai could see it in their eyes. They had orders, but this situation did not fit their orders. One of them spoke into a communication device. There was a pause. Then a voice came back. "Bring him. The commander wants to see him." They bound Kai's hands and led him through the colony. Everything was the same as before, yet everything was different. Kai saw it now with eyes that understood. The walls that protected the colony also trapped it. The laws that kept everyone pure also kept everyone the same. The strength the Meridians valued was only one kind of strength. Commander. Vex sat in the great hall with the Council of Elders around him. When Kai was brought before them, Vex stood up. "You are alive," Vex said. This did not sound like approval. It sounded like an accusation. "I am alive," Kai confirmed. "I survived the wastelands." "This is impossible," Kresh said. The scarred female moved toward Kai with killing intent in her eyes. "You should be dead. You are weak." "I am weak by Meridian standards," Kai said. His voice was calm. He had practiced this moment many times in his mind. But there are other kinds of strength. There are kinds of strength that allow a being to survive where a Meridian would not. "Silence," Vex commanded. "You come before the council with disrespect and lies. You claim to have survived what cannot be survived. You claim that weakness is strength. You are broken. You should be exiled again." "Before you decide," Kai said, "I must tell you something. I am not alone in the wastelands. There are others. There are beings from other worlds, other places. They live in a refuge hidden beneath the observation post." The council became silent. This was not what they expected. This was information that changed everything. "They are not a threat," Kai said quickly. "They are refugees. Like me. They were called wrong by their own people. They were marked as worthless. But they are not worthless. They are alive. They think. They feel. They deserve to live as much as any Meridian." Vex stood up. His eyes became very dark. "You have broken your exile. You have consorted with aliens. You have shared information about this colony. These are crimes that demand death." "Yes," Kai said. "By your laws, I should die. But I ask you to listen first. I ask you to understand what I have learned." He reached into his clothes. The guards tried to stop him, but he pulled out the communicator Kevin had given him. "This is a device of human technology," Kai said. "Humans are one of the species in the refuge. They are not Meridians. They do not have the strength of Meridians. But they have thought about these things. They have been where we are." Kai activated the communicator. On a screen on the wall, an image appeared. It was Helena. "I am Dr. Helena Price," she said. Her words came in the Meridian language, translated by her device. I am a human. I have studied your culture for 3 years. I tell you truth now. Your son Kai is the bravest dragon I have ever encountered. He saved a life when his culture told him to take one. He sacrificed everything to preserve that life. This is not weakness. This is the greatest strength that any being can have. The council stirred. Some of them looked angry. Some of them looked shocked. Show them the refuge, Helena said. Show them what they do not know about strength and survival. Images appeared on the screen. They showed the gardens where many kinds of beings grew food together. They showed the medical bay where Lucas healed creatures of all species. They showed the chamber where different beings had learned to live in peace. They showed the Wanderer making its harmonic sound, and showed what that sound meant when translated into the Meridian language. The Wanderer said, I would be dead if not for Kai. I would have died alone in the poison. Kai chose to help me. Kai showed me that there is good in this world. Kai made my life matter. This is the greatest gift one being can give to another. Vex stood very still. He watched the images. He listened to the words. He said nothing. Then a young dragon stepped forward. It was Lyrith, Kai's former bully, the one who had reported him to the guards. I see this, Lyrith said. His voice was uncertain but growing stronger. I see what you show me. But this does not prove that we should change. This does not prove that our way is wrong. It proves that your way is incomplete. A new voice came through the communicator. It was Colonel Marcus Hayes. I am a military commander for humans. I have fought in more wars than most of you have lived seasons. I know what war does. I know what death does to a world. I tell you, as a warrior to warriors, that sometimes the strongest choice is to choose not to fight, to choose to understand instead. That choice does not make you weak. It makes you wise. Vex finally spoke. If I allow this refuge to exist, I weaken the colony. I weaken the purity of our people. This is not acceptable. Kai felt his heart sink. Vex was not going to listen. Vex would order the attack, but then Lyrith spoke again. My brother, he said, you call yourself strong, but I see a being who is afraid. You are afraid of us changing. You are afraid of us being different. That is weakness. That is the real weakness. Other young dragons began to speak up. They had seen the images. They had heard the Wanderer's story. They had begun to understand that strength might mean something different than what they had been taught. You will not attack the refuge, one of the council elders said. She was old, older than Vex. She stood with difficulty. I have seen what the young see. I have heard what they hear. I have lived long enough to understand when a world is changing. We will not attack. Vex looked at her with fury. You will obey me, he said. I am the commander. I make the laws. You made the laws that made Kai wrong, she said. You made the laws that would have had him die alone in the wastelands. You were wrong about Kai. You were wrong about the refuge. Your time as commander is finished. The council voted. It was close, but the old elder had the respect of ages. Vex was removed from power. Kai felt something release in his chest. It was not victory. Victory was the wrong word. It was understanding. It was hope, but there was still danger. Vex walked toward Kai. You have destroyed everything, he said. His voice was full of poison. You will regret this. He moved to kill Kai, his claws extended, but Lyrith stepped between them. He held up his hand. No, he said. Not this way. No more. Vex stared at his own people. They were standing with Kai. They were standing against him. He turned and left the great hall. 3 days later, a ship came up from the colony. It carried supplies and food and a small team of dragon youth who wanted to learn about the refuge. They wanted to understand. Kai went down with them, back to the place where he had almost died, back to the place where everything had changed. Sophie was waiting for him when he emerged into the refuge. She ran to him and held him, and Kai held her back. The Wanderer made its beautiful harmonic sound. All the beings in the refuge sang the sound with it. It was like music. It was like light. It was like a moment of such pure joy that Kai thought his heart might break from it. Helena stood nearby, watching. She was crying, but she was smiling. "You did it," she said. "You made them listen." "Not all of them listen," Kai said. "Vex is gone, but there are others like him." "Yes," Helena said. "There will always be others. But now there are also people like Lyrith. People who are brave enough to change their minds. That is hope. That is how worlds change." Over the following weeks, more Meridians came to the refuge. Some came because they were curious. Some came because they were tired of the old ways. Some came because they had always been different and had always hidden it. And slowly, surely, the colony began to transform. Kai stood in the garden one evening, watching the Wanderer eat something Sophie had grown. The creature was healing well. Its broken limb was almost whole. "What do you think will happen now?" Sophie asked. She was standing beside Kai, their hands touching. "I think my people will struggle for a long time," Kai said. "I think there will be more Vex in the future. But I think young dragons like Lyrith will be there too. I think change happens slowly, one being at a time. Is that enough?" Sophie asked. Kai thought about the creature he had saved in the wastelands, the one that started everything. He thought about how one choice to help instead of kill had changed his entire world. "One being at a time is how everything changes," he said. "One being decides to be different. One being decides to help. One being decides to listen. And slowly, the world becomes something new." Sophie rested her head on his shoulder. They stood in silence, watching the Wanderer move through the garden. The creature was alive because Kai had chosen compassion. Kai was alive because humans had chosen to break their own rules. The refuge was alive because many beings had chosen to protect it. In the colony above, dragons were learning about other worlds. They were learning that there were many,